there, and welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We're back to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans, and we're discussing more of what's going down at No Surrender. Since they've updated the card, I think it'll be the final card. Maybe there'll be like one or two little surprises or whatever on the night. But I think that the card is pretty well set. And I want to quickly go over some stuff that they kind of announced for the Alex Shelley and Moose match, something that I think will pertain to how the match will kind of end, or at least in my opinion, how I think it'll end. They said that, if any of the guys that are in Alex Shelley or Moose's corner effectively, touch or get involved in the match, then their man will get disqualified in the match and therefore lose the match. So that is kind of where I think they're kind of going to go with this. I think they're like this week's show, it sort of showcased that, Shelley's teammates, they're pretty emotional or kind of emotional. They're very attached to Shelley and whatnot, and it's very easy for the system to manipulate them. Or somewhat easy for the system to manipulate them. So I feel like they're going to manipulate them into the position of, because they're going to get involved anyway somehow, but do it covertly, and then somehow, the baby faces are going to get caught, and then that's going to be like the end of the match, because you just can't see, either team really throwing in the towel, or whatever that much. It just doesn't really, I don't think it'll work. Like I thought I discussed it a bit before, but I just don't think it'll really work. It doesn't really make much sense for either team to really, quote unquote, throw in the towel. But for the teams to get involved in some way makes some sort of sense, and therefore if, the baby faces just get caught in the ring at the wrong time, or touching Moose or whatever after the heels have done something, some shenanigans, then Shelley gets DQ'd and he's out. I know that will probably set something up a bit later, maybe, but, almost at this point, you can almost start looking at maybe turning Shelley heel or whatever. I don't know. You always want the Motor City Machine Guns to stick together and that sort of thing, so it's tough to sort of have one of them heel and one of them face, or one of them sort of turning or not turning or whatever, and you don't really know, or, bitter feelings towards somebody that got involved but they made a mistake or whatever, and he's just, showing them, hey, you shouldn't have done that, but, well, it was just bad luck, bad timing type thing, so it is what it is. But anyway, I just wanted to cover that here very quickly because I think it's very relevant to that match, and how it will kind of play out. Now, I did say that the best of 3 series will continue between Ace and Bay and the grizzled young vets, and I was right. But obviously, that is kind of obvious. Most, matches go to match 3, so, yeah. But, actually, I was kind of watching an interview with these guys fairly recently, from Fightful, there, I think. And, they said they haven't signed. They're not there, full-time. I think the whole situation with Anthem will change the situation with them signing, honestly. I don't, from what we've been talking about, Anthem wants to cut the budget, or as much as possible. So, it feels like they're not going to sign anyone new, and even if they kind of sign someone new, I feel like they're not going to really be giving them what they're worth per se. So I don't see them really signing, because again, the offer probably would be a low ball offer for them to come in. But yeah, I don't really see that. They're already working on a handshake agreement of some sort. and already have some sort of a contract worked out just for a few dates or whatever. So obviously that's been determined. So they probably can't muck that up too badly yet with these guys. But we'll have to wait and see more for them. I always feel bad with everyone that's kind of going into this, because it's just like we have to talk about more of the information and stuff, but like, oh my god, it's such a turmoilic time in TNA, and that's, like, again, it's just not what they need. But anyway, these guys, like I said, I just don't see them winning. So like they could stick around, maybe. I don't really even see that. Like what would they do? Like, who would they feud with? What would it be about? Like, I could see them having a feud with the Motor City Machine Guns, maybe, but the thing is that they're both kind of doing singles stuff, even, like, for the next month, even if Saban loses. Like, maybe if Saban wins, like, which I thought he might, then maybe they might tag together just to teach these GYV guys a lesson or something. I don't know. This is a kind of dream match that you just want to see anyway. But still, like, I definitely won't complain if they give it to us. But like, I still want like them just to stick around for like 6 months. But then again, like, it's like, well, what are they gonna do? So yeah, it's tough. We talked about Josh Alexander potentially facing Simon Gotch. I think this was literally announced, like, literally probably 5 minutes after I posted the video of me, or maybe it was posted during the time that I was recording it or posting it or whatever. But anyway, it was posted soon after I was kind of doing the whole last video, so I was looked at it after I was on posting it up, and I was like, oh man, they posted another match. I missed it. But that's the thing, like I've said before, this is why I don't do news that much, or don't try to keep on top of things, and literally something can be announced 5 minutes later, and you go, well, am I going to film something for it, and then have something more announced in 5 more minutes, or in 10 more minutes, or in an hour, or half an hour, whatever it is, and then have to record again and record again and record again every single time. You're always like, well, I've got to put something out at a certain point. I can't just sit here and go, well, they might post something else. So, but we knew that this match was probably going to happen. I think I mentioned it. Maybe? I don't know. But anyway, like I wasn't interested in Gotch, really. Like I even said this on the preview video that we did. I'll be doing a review very soon on the show, so that'll be going up pretty soon as well. So be sure to be subscribed and check that video out for here on the podcast. But still, yeah, like, I wasn't really interested in him because, like, he's just been a guy that's been around and, like, hasn't, like, it's not his fault, but he hasn't really done anything, so he hasn't got really any good name value, per se, that much. So, but TNA is, like, one of the best places to be, in my opinion, for building people, because they gave him, time to sort of promo and say, hey, this is me, this is my new, thing that I'm doing, and, I want to be taken seriously. So that's good, because, like, that's the thing that you need. You need people, even if you're the least hyped person coming into a company, you need to make that big impact. And it does, like, it's not just the first thing you do, because you could do anything. Like, you could slip on a banana peel or whatever, but then you've got to make that mean something. You've got to give it context going forward. You can't just do something and then go, oh, well, we're not going to follow up on that, or we're not going to, build anything here. No, like, even though it's a fairly short feud in some regards, it's a very long feud in many regards. And it added a lot of stuff together all very quickly, I felt, which was kind of good. It gives something for Josh to do, which is good, because, again, he needs something to do for a little while, you know, that's not challenging for the title. So it's tough to kind of have that and whatnot at this point. So you've got to bring these guys that, you know, you could make a argument that there's, you know, will make sense in story and it'll be a good match. Like, so they dug into that history and they pulled this out, and I think, you know, I'm very interested to see it now. Like, I'm pretty sure still, like, I think it's even said that I think Josh is still winning because, like, honestly, again, you know, they just need more baby faces challenging Moose, and Moose is, like, again, lost to Alexander, so it makes 100% sense for Josh Alexander to be challenging him at some point pretty soon, probably at Rebellion. That makes a lot of sense, where he won it again, back, you know, whatever, last year. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. So that would be something that I think that they should do. But yeah, like, I'll wait and see with that one. I think we'll cover this in the way that they set it out. World title shot opportunity. A world title shot opportunity is up for grabs between Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young, and that will happen at Sacrifice. Look, I know that Frankie wants an opportunity at the title, and I think he does deserve one at the title at some point. The problem here is that who's holding the championship is a heel. So to me, when you're going to say, we're going to put this newly heel Frankie Kazarian in there with somebody like Moose, who's a heel, and the System, then it starts to fall apart because you've got two heels going up against each other, and it makes very little sense. For Eric Young to be facing Moose, that's fine. It's probably an okay throwaway match. You know, I love Eric Young, but again, no one's expecting him to win the world title. He won the world title a couple of years ago, but the point at which that he's going to win the title anymore has pretty much passed. I think he's a guy now that they need to utilize as to rub off on the new generation of stars so that, you know, they can build themselves up and become, you know, as big of a legend as what he is. Same with Kazarian. So again, that kind of, like, the era of, you know, some of these guys, like, as I said, Alex Shelley before, like, what's the point of him winning? Like, there isn't much point of him winning. He's already established. Like, the same thing kind of can be applied to Giselle Shaw and Jordan Grace. Shaw isn't very established, so it behooves them to establish her as the champion. Can be the same for some of these other ones, but, like, you need to, like, do some of that. And the same with, like, Khan and PCO. You always need to be building new stars. So, like, if Eric wins, I can see that. That seems fine to me. And then, like, Eric and Frankie can have another match after Sacrifice, probably, because probably Kaz is gonna interfere in that match, or, you know, attack Young or something or whatever, and then they're going to have a bigger blow-off match at Rebellion. So I could see that'll be probably all right there as well. And then Kaz can get a title match. I don't know, but that also feels like really bad, because again, it feels like, well, honestly, again, you've got a heel champion, so why are you going to give him a title match against, you know, a heel champion? No real point, because the dynamics are just completely wrong, and there's just, like, it's even more of a throwaway match than EY and Kaz. Like, at least maybe if you do something, I don't know. It's tough for me to see that Nick Nemeth will win it at Rebellion. Same with Josh. They can't win it. It's just too soon. in my opinion, to win it at this point. So they really need to do something else and go down a different direction for a little while with Kaz, even if he wins at Rebellion. So I don't know what else you can kind of do with him. So that's going to be tough. But anyway, it's still like there's still a lot there, and I still think that, you know, like I guess this is the problem, which I was just saying, that, you know, what's the point in pushing Kazarian into that title picture? It's not for Kazarian. It has to be for whoever he's going up against in that title picture, as far as putting that person over as the next big thing kind of thing. Because again, even though he hasn't won the title before, he's still a icon, a legend of TNA. He's still got a big name for himself. Having him lose to somebody, whoever, wherever, whenever, like he lost to Josh Alexander and whatnot, that didn't really help Josh, because Josh was already a big star, but it helped him increase that star power, certainly, out there and whatnot. But still, you're still, like, looking at, you know, like, a division of wrestlers that needs these other veterans to be, you know, getting wins over to sort of, you know, establish themselves and do more stuff. But anyway, I don't know which one of these matches, 2 tag matches, to talk about first. So I'll just go left to right, I guess, from my perspective at least. Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers versus Kushida and Kevin Knight. Like, we've been talking a lot about the system, and I have been thinking a lot about the system. And like I said, I would like to see the system hold all the gold. That's just something that you tend to want to do in these circumstances when you have a new faction. Effectively, you want them to hold all the gold, or as much of the gold as feasibly possible, because it just builds for good stories. Like, and you can always get good matches. You're always going to get good matches. Like, that's the thing. So getting good stories out of those good matches, having a good payoff to a good story, is the bigger thing, in my opinion. So I feel like Edwards and Myers need to win so that they feel more credible in the tag team division, so that they can perhaps challenge ABC soon in the future. I don't know whether they'll be able to challenge them at Sacrifice, maybe at Rebellion, maybe. But then again, like, you start to feel like, well, they've beaten most of the other teams, kind of thing. So you don't want to make them burn through all the teams. Or there is a thing where you can be like, well, yeah, sure, they beat them, technically speaking, but there was a lot of shenanigans involved, so you could say that that's there and that's what's going on, and that kind of thing. So, you know, you're still considering that that's, you know, kind of a thing. But like I said before, this wouldn't be for Myers and Edwards per se. It would be for the other tag teams that are kind of in the division. You know, you talk about Bailey and Seven. We'll be talking about their match in just a second. Kushida and Knight, even though, like, Kushida's a fairly, you know, heavy-handed veteran, or fairly veteran, has a long history in the wrestling business, or fairly long history in the wrestling business, like 10 years, I think, or something like that. You know, like, it's still one of those things. He's new to TNA, and he still needs to establish himself here. So, like, even though he's been a single star, he needs to establish himself in the tag team space, even though he's been part of the Motor City Machine Guns, or the, you know, whatever, the Motor City Machine Time Guns, whatever they're going to call themselves. So yeah, but like again, you keep saying, well, it was shenanigans and they can win or whatever. So there's still potential there for them in the future. Um, and obviously you've got Ace and Bay there, so you've got a few really good babyface teams to keep going up against and whatnot. So that is something that you can build around. Bailey and Seven versus the Rascals. I kind of feel like Steve Macklin will be in the Rascals' corner. I don't 100% know. But then again, like, Steve Macklin isn't on this card, neither is Nick Nemeth. So I kind of feel like they want to build to that. And plus, like, why would you not have these guys on the show? Like, you need to have them on the show or something or whatnot so that you can build to their match and that sort of thing. So again, I feel like he'll be in their corner and helping them win. And then, you know, when the post-match beatdowns or whatever are happening, then Nemeth will come out, you know, and make the save, and that'll lead to a, you know, 6-man tag at some point, and then that'll lead to, you know, Nemeth and Macklin eventually. So that's where I see this going. So I think the Rascals are probably most likely winning this one against Bailey and Seven. So at least with Macklin's help. But even if he's not there at ringside or whatever, I feel like he will get involved at least because, again, it just makes sense. Again, it doesn't make any sense for Macklin nor Nemeth to be on this show because they're two major stars that they've got, and they need those guys to be on these shows to bring in those fans. But fans know that they're going to be somewhere involved because, like, again, they're just too major not to kind of be involved and that kind of thing. So will we see a confrontation between them? Will there be a match made? When will that match be made? All those sorts of things. Like, we know these things are going to happen for the most part, but like, it's when and how and the story taking us there. That's always, like I said, you can always have really good matches. Really good matches are a dime a dozen, you know, like, and the more story there is in a match, the more I enjoy it, or the more it feels like you're connecting the dots in the match with the story, the more I tend to enjoy it as well. So that always brings that whole thing together. I don't know that it's the best because, again, like, you're trying to put Bailey and Seven in there as, you know, these new guys. They should, I think they already won against the Rascals though, but still, like, establishing them well in the division. But then again, you can still do that, like, if you continue to feud them with the Rascals and things like this into the future. So just giving them something to work with here is the goal. Sometimes that's what you've kind of got to do. I don't know. It's tough to, like, always have everything going for everyone and that sort of thing. It does look like they've reverted back to only having half an hour for the pre-show or countdown or buy-in or whatever you want to call it. So, you know, but maybe they'll do a longer one for, like, bigger shows like Hard to Kill, Rebellion, Slammiversary, Bound for Glory, those sorts of things. So we'll wait and see on that too, but yeah. But most of my attention is starting to move towards, you know, not what's happening in the ring and what's happening in the stories, unfortunately, because that's my level of enjoyment and most fans' level of enjoyment of the show. They watch the show to escape reality or to, you know, kind of forget about their day job or the shitty day that they had or whatever, that kind of thing, and watch a bit of, you know, good wrestling on the TV or on the YouTube or whatever it is that you watch it on. So yeah, like, but still, it's just one of those things where, like, as a creator, like, I don't love it that I have to kind of focus on that kind of side of things, but we have to bring you the best information that I can kind of try to bring you guys as it kind of unfolds. So there will be another video more about what's going on with Anthem and that, the more information that comes out. I've wanted to wait till like No Surrender happens, and they've got a meeting coming up and whatnot. So be sure to be subscribed to the channel so that you can catch that here. It will also be a podcast available on our audio podcast stream. It's hard to get a lot of stuff on that audio podcast stream, unfortunately. So I think the YouTube has been better to us, but we'll have to wait and see. We've got to drum up more views, more subscribes, more likes, and all that stuff. So if you do have some constructive kind of thoughts, criticism, and whatnot, I will be open to hearing that. I'm not open to hearing people say it's shit or whatever, you suck, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff, because if you're not actually offering anything or you don't have any decent advice, then what am I listening to? Like, I'm just listening to the haters. And I just don't have time for that. I'd rather listen to people that actually have a perspective on how to make the show better and how to make whatever I'm doing as good as possible. Yes, I know that it's only me and whatnot, so it's a bit hard sometimes, but I don't know really anyone else to do it with right now. Plus, again, it's not a paying gig, so again, it's just one of those things that I do it because I have the passion for it and love this thing and don't want to turn away from it even in its hour of need. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. But anyway, guys, hope you have enjoyed this one and hope you will join me again in another one.